Blade Runner is the most famous movie adaptation of Philip K. Dick, and it might be the greatest ever science fiction movie. But Blade Runner, on the scale of PKD-ness, rates pretty low. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a much, much stranger book. Minority Report is the least dickish of all the major PKD adaptations. A Spielberg movie is a Spielberg movie. Paycheck, Imposter, and Next are from the noughties Hollywood that took a PKD concept and glued it onto a standard three-act action movie. Minimal Dick here. The Adjustment Bureau is almost a Dick movie until it turns into more of a Matt Damon action movie vid.
Matt Damon.
1995 Screamers is really quite Philippian, but it's early PKD before the true paranoia set in. This will be controversial, but Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall is semi-dicked. The action sequences aren't dick, but the impossibility of ascertaining true reality or trusting another human is quintessential dick. But for the full dickhead experience, only one film comes close: A Scanner Darkly.
Gotta keep those scanner darkly are happening with her. Gotta keep those scanner darkly are happening with her. Gotta keep those.
Philip K. Dick's partially autobiographical chronicle of 70s hippie drug culture takes place under the eternal sunshine of Southern California. Even the book's nighttime is saturated with the electric glare of strip mall lighting and the glow of the television screen. The darkness of A Scanner Darkly isn't in this color-saturated 24-hour consumer culture. It's the darkness of those who fall through the fractures of that culture, the darkness of intellectual and emotional fragmentation, the darkness of insanity. Why do I sometimes watch the static on a dead television looking for signals from Ubik? PKD made me do it. Philip K. Dick struggles with mental, what do we call it? Illness or awakening? Shaped his writing. Philip K. Dick was a restless soul and neurotic personality who married and abandoned multiple women and his own children, drifted from city to city to escape debts, and lost himself in drug addictions that he only kicked in his 50s before a stroke killed PKD, aged 54.
Slice of life realistic novel that I write is essentially based on the 19th century French realistic novel. It's a closed loop. An American science fiction writer is usually someone who has been a science fiction fan and has read only science fiction novels. So when he goes to write science fiction, he bases it solely on prior science fiction.
And somehow PKD also wrote arguably the most important body of science fiction literature of the 20th century. His peak decade of the 1960s gave us classics like The Man in the High Castle, The Free Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? The book that became Blade Runner, the movie without which Dick might be one of many great but forgotten sci-fi authors. Roger Zelazny, PKD's collaborator on Deus Irae, is lost today, but was a better writer by almost every measure. But PKD was a visionary. In life, those visions manifested as insanity. In fiction, as prophecy. And the greatest and most prophetic of PKD's fiction came from the examination of his own insanity. Why do I call smartphones empathy boxes and Apple Inc. the Church of Mercerism? PKD made me do it. Why did I become convinced that a vast active intelligence system guides our moves in a complex cosmic game? PKD made me do it. Dick dissects modern insanity through the cipher of Bob Arctor. Arctor, actor, get it? The everyman archetype. Arctor is a man on the fringes of society, a man who realizes one day that he hates his suburban existence and so trades it in for a life among the hippie dropouts, drug addicts, and street people of Orange County California. But Arctor is also Agent Fred, an undercover narcotics officer whose identity is hidden even from his police officer handlers by a scramble suit that makes him appear as an unmemorable blur. When an administrative error results in Agent Fred being assigned to monitor both Arctor and Arctor, Fred has the deranging experience of monitoring his own activities through the holographic scanning equipment that gives the novel its title, which is a play on Ingmar Bergman's 1961 movie Through a Glass Darkly, which shares the theme of insanity and psychic collapse that A Scanner Darkly will unpack.
One time I had lunch with Tolstoy. Another time I was a roadie for Frank Zappa.
A Scanner Darkly is something like a thematic sequel to 2001's Waking Life, the two movies marking the rotoscope phase of indie movie making legend Richard Linklater. Linklater is best known to mainstream audiences for School of Rock with Jack Black, because even the most indie of movie makers need a bankable commercial hit now and again. Slacker 1990 exemplifies these factors in Linklater's career, city of Austin, Texas, where Slacker is set, which Linklater almost single-handedly defined as America's indie movie-making mecca. The second is the DVD rental market for DVD movies in the 90s and noughties. Linklater made low-budget movies that didn't need to be box office hits because they were popular rentals in the era of the DVD. The third is Linklater's status as the movie maker of Generation X, the slacker generation. Back when dropping out to work in a coffee shop was rebellion, rather than the only available career option for a humanities graduate. Douglas Copeland may have named Gen X, but Linklater projected the Gen X psyche onto the cinema screen in his breakout hit Dazed and Confused, the coolest teen movie ever made, and the film that gave us Matthew McConaughey. The Before trilogy follows the romance between Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy over a 20-year arc. Linklater doubled down on temporal movie making in 2014's Boyhood, shooting one sequence with the same cast each year for 12 years to show child actor Eli Coltrane age through his boyhood in real time. It's Linklater's masterpiece. Watch it. Waking Life in 2001 is a random walk through dreams and philosophy in which Linklater uses the rotoscope animation effect to indicate the simultaneous presence of dream and reality on the cinema screen, an effect he repeats in A Scanner Darkly, which is unmistakably a Linklater movie. Beneath the rotoscope is the most Gen X cast imaginable. Is that Winona Ryder? Of course it is. These are literal slackers and much of the in-scene dialogue is improvised. But the prophetic vision of Philip K. Dick burns through the rotoscoping like the truth of God through lies. Scanner Darkly is a PKD movie down to its platonic forms. As an obsessive reader of Philip K. Dick and wannabe movie maker in the early noughts, if you'd asked me the director who could do justice to PKD on the big screen, I would have said Richard Linklater. So, obviously, I completely missed A Scanner Darkly when it was released in 2006. Keanu Reeves is a non-entity, but the intensity of his beauty and the half-dozen facial expressions he employs in the place of acting make him the ultimate movie star. Because a movie star isn't an actor. A movie star is a human that you want to become for the time you watch them on the screen. As the working stiff cop Agent Fred, Keanu is pretty damn good, especially as the Fred persona collapses before us.
Let's hear it for the vague blur. If you saw me on the street without the suit on, you'd probably say, there goes a total dope fiend. Oh, what'd you see happen?
I think you better go back to the your prepared text there.
But as a loser dropout Bob Arctor, Keanu is out of his depth. Keanu has never had to wonder why his chick won't sleep with him.
Make what? The team? The girl? Make good? Make do? Make out? Make sense? Make money? Make time? Define your terms. Tell me, what the hell is Donna Steele? What do I do? I mean, how do you make it with that kind of sweet, unique, stubborn little chick?
Keanu has never been a loser. Arctor is a role that Joaquin Phoenix, king of losers, would nail. Watching Keanu Reeves on screen is like watching an animated void, which ultimately does make Keanu Reeves the perfect star for a movie about watching screens, being watched on screens, being on the screen, being watched, and watching others watch us on screens. But the rest of the casting in A Scanner Darkly is, well, A Scanner Darkly is a story about nobodies. The characters in A Scanner Darkly are on a scale from people who are still working in a convenience store in their late 30s at the doing well end of the scale, to zombies shuffling on fentanyl at the bad end of the scale. Robert Downey Jr., even in his mid-career slump, and Woody Harrelson at the peak of his fame, just aren't nobodies enough. They've never really even known any nobodies, so their performance in A Scanner Darkly are somebody's doing a pantomime clown act of what they think nobodies might be like. Keanu, Robbie, Woody, and Winona certainly help bring in an audience. But it's an audience who come expecting the thing those stars usually do, wrapped in rotoscope, which isn't what we get with Scanner Darkly. The most common response to Scanner Darkly is depressing. Examine that in detail and you realize it means that Scanner Darkly forces us to deal with gritty bits of reality we go to movies to escape from. It's ironic that Philip K. Dick is a poster boy for the use of drugs to escape reality, because what PKD actually wrote about the life of drug addiction is all too real. Why did I question my existence as human and experiment with the belief that I could be a machine? PKD made me do it. Why did Damien Walters start narrating his life in the third person through his demo alter ego? PKD made me do it. A Scanner Darkly is late phase Dick. Bob Arctor's life is really Philip K. Dick's life over a 10-year period from 1970 to 72, after his fourth wife, Nancy, left him. Finding himself alone again, Dick filled his four-bedroom house with drifters and fell into drug addiction. A Scanner Darkly was born from this period and is a fascinating portrait of 70s California counterculture. But Scanner Darkly was actually written in 1977, at the height of PKD's late period of spiritual struggle. In 1974, Dick underwent a routine dental procedure. After a lifetime of drug abuse, it was a dose of sodium pentothal that pushed him over the edge into psychosis or a violent spiritual awakening, depending on interpretation. The events of what PKD came to call 2374, as with all the best prophetic awakenings, vary depending on the testimony. PKD's own accounts vary wildly, and his biographers all embroider them to complete the story they want to tell about PKD. Either dosed on painkillers or expecting a delivery of painkillers, PKD opened the door to a delivery woman wearing a fish pendant, sparking a long series of revelatory visions / hallucinations, including geometric patterns, Christian symbolism, the Christ himself, and ancient Rome. It's disillusioning to many semi-dickheads to discover the man himself was, for most of his life, an Episcopal Christian and held socially conservative views, especially those against abortion, expressed in his story, The Pre-Persons, that sparked his feud with Joanna Russ. PKD's conspirituality was of the kind that today tends to vote MAGA.
Substance D come from? Why can't we stop it? Humanity wasn't meant to live like this. Our every waking moment, tracked and traced and scanned. It's time to stop submitting to this tyranny. It's time to realize that we're being enslaved. Hey guys, I used to be one of you.
PKD claims then to have been struck by a pink beam of light that came down from a satellite that was also a divine entity. This beam downloaded a massive information to PKD's brain that he would spend the last decade of his life decoding, leading to his historical conspiracy theory that Rome never fell, and inspiring his later novels, Valis, Radio Free Albemuth, and The Divine Invasion, and his epic exegesis of the Christian faith. Psychotic hallucination, divine revelation, the inventions of a sci-fi writer who understood personal mythologizing as a tool of self-promotion. You decide. Why do I engage with reality like a comedy TV show that could be cancelled by the network before the next season? PKD made me do it. Why did I create this one-off limited edition t-shirt and merch collection depicting the events of 2374? Because PKD made me do it. Bob Arctor is an actor in his own life. He is a man caught in a performative trap. On one hand, Arctor is a drug addict in fraud to the mysterious narcotic substance D. Is it killing you or awakening you? Is there really any difference? On the other hand, Arctor is a police informant who has, by an administrative error, been assigned to investigate and inform on himself. Arctor is hence made to both experience the events of his life as a drug addict and to see these events as an external observer in the absolute immersive reality of the scanner darkly. The early 1970s of Southern California already contained the seeds of today's surveillance society. Terrified by having to pass through a police body scanner, PKD began to imagine a future of mass surveillance. And in doing so, sensed something even more massive coming down the pipeline from that future. Social media is too benign a name for the technological hall of mirrors we have constructed for ourselves. An experience that once only deranged movie stars who had the capacity to adapt to it now deranges half the global population who do not. We video our lives. We show our videos to others. We watch others watching our lives. We live in 24-hour daylight, not only of mass surveillance by Big Brother, but of the attention of Big Other. We live in the scanner darkly. If the sci-fi writer extrapolates technology into the future, Philip K. Dick's writing was anti-sci-fi. He lived in the future now and turned his raw experience into future fictions and prophetic visions. To learn the 9 prophetic visions of Philip K. Dick, watch this video next.